Hello and welcome to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Sheriff Steve Tompkins. Now, today, we've been doing this series where we've been talking to the candidates that's running for the citywide seat on the Boston City Council. And today we have Michael Flaherty, and a lot of you know Michael. He was formerly on the City Council. He was the president of the City Council for 5 consecutive years, and he's an all-around great guy. And we're going to talk to him about issues of importance to you as we do every week. So without any further ado, Michael.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good to see you.
With the crazy schedule, thanks for coming in today.
That's just as crazy as yours, because I know you see me out there because I see you out there, which is good.
I know. Well, first and foremost, tell me, how's it been? This just the process. I know you've gone through it. You've run a lot of campaigns, but how's it been?
Well, I know it's an exciting year for the city. For the first time in 20 years, we're going to have the opportunity to select a new mayor, and with that, there was several openings on the Boston City Council. 2 of them were at large. 2 of them are at the district level, and it's a unique opportunity for the council. It's an opportunity potentially to reinvent itself, if you will, and to play an equal partner role in city government. So hopefully dispel, some of the sort of the rubber stamp theory around the council, and to play a more active role and identify some priorities. Clearly work with the new mayor, whoever gets elected on November 5th, but also to have a responsibility as members of the council to one another and to the constituents that elect them to speak up when they see something that's not working or we could make improvements on. And so that's why I'm excited to be able to have a level of experience and knowledge of city government, and having played a leadership role at large and also as council president. I think that manifested itself in a strong preliminary vote on September the 24th. So I'm excited to be in the home stretch. It's 3 weeks from today. For your viewers that are tuning in, to please consider me for one of their 4 votes, but also make sure that they get out and cast their vote for who they think will be the next CEO or should be the CEO of Boston. At the same time, they have a district and up to 4 at-large councilors to select.
Interesting that you call it CEO, because I had a conversation this morning with someone and we were talking about the mayor's race, and what he said to me was, it's not really the mayor, it's the CEO of a city. Talk to folks about what it takes to run a major metropolitan city like Boston.
Well, I can tell you it's a $2.6 billion corporation, and there's close to 18,000 city employees and a number of different bargaining units through a lot of the municipal unions, but also your rank and file employees that obviously play a vital function in City Hall. So clearly the mayor needs to identify public policy initiatives and priorities of his administration moving forward. At the same time, you got to keep all the trains running on time. And so this is exciting because I think that there will be new blood, new energy, and new ideas in City Hall for the first time in 20 years. We hope to have a cabinet that is truly diverse and is reflective of the face of Boston. And again, with new commissioners and new department heads and new superintendents, very healthy for our city, and very healthy to be able to work alongside of someone that has a new and fresh perspective on things that are happening in our city. So that's why in of itself, it's really viewed as a sort of a CEO position, that in order to kind of keep things moving and to keep that the focus on where our priorities are, we need to improve our Boston public schools. You know it, Sheriff, you see it on a regular basis. We boast of having the best colleges and universities in the world, yet we can and must do better for our Boston public school students. I've been a strong proponent of a year 13. We have kids that graduate from our high schools unless they go to one of the exam schools. Chances are they're not able to get into some of the best college and universities in the world that call Boston their home, and the ones that actually are able to are oftentimes can't compete and end up leaving those schools. So I want to have a year 13 for serious students, partnership with our college and universities, whether it's college professors or graduate students earning points in their degree for teaching, with a very intense college prep coursework, and also have SAT prep, because a lot of times test-taking skills play the difference between getting into a school, not getting a scholarship, not. So time management, elimination of choices, and just having being in sort of sample test-taking situations could play a huge role for kids to be able to compete.
Let me offer you this. At Roxbury Community College, Roxbury Community College and Madison Park High School are right across the street from each other. And the governor and the mayor are talking about this project that they're calling Rox Map, wherein you go into Madison Park as a freshman. You do 5 years. And at the end of that 5 years, you not only have your high school diploma, but you have an associate's degree. And they would have professors coming across the street from RCC to work in the school and work with schools. There would be a very serious emphasis on vocational education for kids during the day. And then at night, there would also be some more vocational education for adults. What do you think of that kind of collaboration between a community college and a high school?
I think it's great, and I also know that college isn't for everyone, so I want to restore a true bona fide trade school for men and women that want to get into the trades or take advantage of some of the innovation and technological advances and the green economy that's happening around us. But the great news about that program, and our hope is with a new perspective on education in Boston, is that better communication and better collaboration, and we have a lot of great things happening in our city, but oftentimes they're not talking to one another. So there's really no direct link or direct pathway to sort of building on those success stories. So yes, Boston's a great place to live and work and to raise a family. We can boast of a lot of success stories, but yet a lot of times there's no real sense of connection or direct pathway. So that in of itself would pay huge dividends. And another issue obviously around sort of the Corey reform issue, which you know so well. I've met to meet one person that's against Corey reform. But if you think about Boston's largest employers, there are hospitals, there are educational institutions, and even our financial service industry, all of whom, for the most part, bar you from employment by virtue of the fact that you have a criminal record or you have a regrettable incident or young and naive and wrong place, wrong time. And I think that we really need to have a better and a stronger focus around that reach out to Boston's largest employers, and everyone has something to hang their hat on, the SCC or the HIPAA, or they'll give you a 2 or 3 letter word that means that, hey, we'd love to help you, but we can't. I think that's a huge disservice to our city when we're not giving people a second chance. People that have come in, they've paid their debt to society, they've taken advantage of programs that you're offering in the House of Correction, and now they come out back to the same neighborhood and the same family that they know and love, and they can't gain access to employment. It's a relatively short period of time, most likely, till they're either back running with the same crowd that they ran with, or they start to dabble again with alcohol and drugs, and then they end up right back as your house guest. And that we need to break that cycle.
Well, let me offer you this. When you talk about the trades and vocational education, what we did in 2005 is we began a program called the Common Ground Institute. And so for those industries where you cannot get employed because you have a Corey, we're looking at carpentry, landscaping, custodial maintenance, painting, printing. Last year we began an urban farming program. In 2014 we're going to begin a culinary program.
That's great.
So we're looking at vocations where, sure, you've been away for a while, but you didn't just sit on your thumbs. You actually learned and you did something and you grew as a person. So you mentioned public safety, you mentioned education. Is there another issue that you're championing when you get back on the city council?
Well, I mean, I've been a strong advocate of around treatment and recovery issues. Again, we boast of having the best hospitals and community health centers in the world, and why we don't have treatment on demand in Boston is, for me, is very frustrating. When you have a child or a loved one that's ready for recovery, and you know how this works, when the person is sort of hit rock bottom and they're reaching out and they're saying, I'm ready for recovery, if we don't have a bed available for that individual, almost like at that moment, we lose an opportunity to get treatment and recovery for that individual. And so there's not a person that can look me in the eye that says that they don't have a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, someone that they've interacted with at the corner store or the coffee shop or the diner or their mailman. It doesn't matter. There's the drug and alcohol impacts have been decimating for families, and as I believe is of epidemic proportions. You see it, the level of substances and their potency that are on the streets today. As a father raising children in the city, it's scary. It's to make sure that you're trying to do the right thing at home and keep your kids on the right path, and to know that these substances are out there and their potency is such that and kids are dabbling with them at a very early age, and then the race is on. And I think that by having treatment on demand and really got to push back on these insurance companies, the way it works now obviously is that if you're fortunate to have some insurance or some coverage, they might give you 3-4 days. You might be lucky if you get a week. We know that if you're on the opiates, that you need at least 90 days of good, clean living to have a fighting chance. And so we need to do a better job, one, as a city, saying that this is and put a focus on that this is of epidemic proportions, and that we want to have a treatment on demand system where if someone's coming in for recovery, somehow, some way, we will find them a bed. If it's not around the city, we need to partner with others to make sure that that bed's available, and then give people a longer period of time from the detox and recovery. That initial stage, it can't just be 3, 4, 5 day spin dry.
Right.
Those don't work, and it just leads itself to continued recycling of those that are suffering from addiction. And I think that's a big part of sort of you're talking about, quality of education improvement,
Right.
and you're talking about the issues that you're talking about, connecting people to hope and opportunity and employment,
Right.
and then you have a substance abuse, all of which will hopefully reduce crime and violence
Right,
in our
right.
city.
Well, let me offer you this. Also, what's equally as scary is the scarcity of mental health beds.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I guess the decisions were made to close down the mental health hospitals and everybody was just basically
Mm-hmm.
shown the door, the sheriff's departments and probably the state facilities also have become the de facto
Mm-hmm.
mental health hospitals. And so these guys and some ladies are out there, and what are their crimes? Loitering, petty theft, A and B, assault and battery, and so,
Mm-hmm.
but without a place to send them, they send them to jail.
Right.
And so we can tend to them, but we aren't built for that. So I hear what you're saying on the detox, but the mental health is also
No,
pretty
it's a
bad.
big part of it. And I saw that too. I saw it not only as a former prosecutor, as an assistant DA in Roxbury, East Boston, and Charlestown District Courts under my former boss, District Attorney Ralph Martin, and had a front row seat, quite frankly, for that. You'd see an individual, and then you'd see him sort of 6 months later, and you look at the BOP, the record, and you find out that, well, he did a couple stints in between, and you just saw, again, the same frequent flyers, I think was
That's
the
what they
name
call
we
it. That's
started
right.
using.
That's
So,
exactly. That's right.
and trying to
That's
break
right.
that cycle,
Right.
and you find out the common denominator. The common denominator on a lot of this crime is drug and alcohol abuse, an addiction. It's lack of employment opportunities and lack of education. I just think that if those three things could be improved here in the city, then we'll do ourselves a huge service in terms of making our neighborhood safer. And for those that find themselves incarcerated, that are paying their debt to society, they ought to be given a second chance. And that means take advantage of the programs that you're offering and make that sense of connection, or have somebody, even if it's maybe it's a city of Boston, maybe it needs to be a cabinet level person that is sort of, again, the maestro connecting all of these parts together, but putting a real sincere influence and insistence that we want to make sure that we're getting folks on their feet and on the road to recovery, and also through employment. You see it pays great dividends throughout our neighborhoods.
So let me ask you this. Now, you mentioned that there's going to be a new mayor. There's going to be several new faces on the city
That's
council. Down the road, you're going to have a new governor, and a lot of the constitutional offices are changing. But I want to go back to the relationship between the mayor's office and the city council. So over the years, you will have heard that, Mayor Menino was a strong mayor, and that the city council was the city council, but not an equal partner, for lack of a better way of saying it. With all of this new young blood and vitality, some experience coming back to the city council, do you think that the relationship between the mayor's office and the city council will be different, or do you think it may basically be business as usual?
Well, my hope is obviously whether it's Marty or John, or John or Marty, whichever way you look at it, will be receptive to the ideas and the collegiality of the Boston City Council. I don't see that I think their makeup is a lot different than our current mayor. And I know that folks say that for the first 8 years, when there's a new mayor, the council sort of tends to flourish. Their ideas sort of go to the forefront. There's an equal partnership. There's a shared responsibility. And then when that mayor gets elected again for the second time and starts the ninth year, it becomes the strong mayor form of government really kind of kicks in. And so I think there's an opportunity there for folks to roll up the sleeves and recognize that we have a shared responsibility. It's never about one person, or it should never be about one person. It's a collective effort. It's not just the mayor and the council and our respective staffs and others in city government, but it's sheriffs, it's governors, it's state representatives, it's state senators. I mean, we all have a responsibility to do the best we can for our constituents. And in many instances, I'm citywide, you're countywide,
Right.
we overlap.
Right.
And to your point a little while ago about sort of connecting and creating pathways, that should be the case for government as well. State reps should be communicating with city councils, who could be communicating with sheriffs, who could be communicating and should be communicating with mayors, so that people know that we're working. And you see it now. It's